This is the best way to play Winston in Overwatch 2. Firstly, scout and set up your dive. To do this, just gain access to high ground to actually see the enemy team and listen to the sounds the enemy team are making to know what heroes to dive. You'll be wanting to dive targets who are either easy to kill and or are dangerous, meaning that you'll be avoiding tanks for the most part and looking for the isolated Zen or Ana in the backline, or that soldier in his visor, or that soldier with their overclock. And lastly, just get good with your primal mechanics. Winston's weapon, the Zappy Boy, fire an 8 meter range Tesla cannon with an area of effect of 6 meters, being able to cleave multiple targets. The cannon deals 60 DPS, consuming 20 rounds per second, with a full ammo capacity of 100 rounds. I'll also couple in his brand new alternate fire, which makes Winston fire a 50 damage zap up to 30 meters. Let's just get your secondary fire out the way. There's 3 uses to your long range zap. Firstly, for random spam damage at the beginning of a fight. This is the least important use. The second use is before you dive a target. Essentially, to make your dive slightly more lethal, fire a full charge zap at the squishy target and then deal your jump melee combo, which I'll get onto later. And the final use is after you dive your targets. This is when they'll get out of range from your Tesla cannon and you need to quickly finish them off. I will say that it's very important to get into the habit of using your zap just before you dive. It's a hard habit to get into, and you'll even see me struggle doing this consistently in the background.
What should she be doing right now?
Charging my right click.
Right.
Yeah.
That's a lot of free damage we're giving up. And target acquired. What should we be doing right now? Right?
Charging my right click.
Charging your right click. Because even here, you miss her entirely, but you could have entered there with a right click.
Now onto your main Tesla cannon. The fundamental use behind your Tesla cannon is to set up angled pressure on the enemy backline, with Spilo detailing 3 levels and an example on Numbani.
Your job is to control the enemy off angles or to set up an off angle yourself. Where do you set up your off angle, chat? Behind. Yes, if you can get behind safely or at an angle here, not directly in front of them, then you get on backline. And what that does is that puts, you are the angle. You are the DPS angle. You're shooting them from behind, which splits the resources and allows your angles in front of them to have more value. The level 1 monkeys do this, right? Why is this a mistake? Well, 1, it's frontline. 2, my team can't see it. Level 2 monkey does this. Can my team see this kill box? Yes, team can see it, right? This is level 2, but why is it not the best? Yeah, you're shooting tanks. You're shooting tanks and you're frontlining. Your team can follow up, but you're still frontlining. This is level 3, and I'll do this all the time when I play monkey. I will drop off, I'll see Ryan shield get to about there or here, and then jump on, and then I see, and it's all squishies. And then my angle is this way, their front lines go looking that way, and I set up an angle here. Let them come out, and then you can get almost behind them here. Now you have to use jump, but that's okay, because you could jump, and then drop like this. But the other level 3 possibility, it's a little risky because you can get poked from point if they go point. Why is this level 3? Different angle, exactly. Now you might end up zapping a little bit of Ryan. That's not great, but you're on a good angle, you have good cover, and for them to get to you, they walk into open space where your team can spam them.
Winston's first ability, the Jumpy Boy, launches Winston at an initial speed of 30 meters per second, dealing 1 damage when you jump and up to 50 damage when you land. Despite Winston's jump just being a jump, there's actually quite a lot of nuance with it. I'll start off with the mechanical side of it first, then moving on to actual usage. I'll first begin with the classic jump pack and melee combo, where just before you land, you sneak in a melee for extra burst damage. Couple this with your long range zap beforehand, and you can deal up to 130 damage before you land back down. For the dedicated Winston players out there, I recommend loading up a custom game with a bunch of Ana bots at 35% HP to practice your combo, which should one-shot those squishies. You can maybe increase the HP to practice this with your zap too. You can also perform a small skip by simply pressing your jump key after you land. Trajectory control is also highly important with your jump. Here's a clip from KarQ explaining late and or early inputs with your jumps.
The late input is if you input a direction after any of the 3 basic jumps from a neutral position. The early input is if you input a direction before any of the 3 jumps, so you're already kind of moving beforehand. Use the S key or down on the analog stick. Doing this on a late input pulls you back just a little bit, whereas doing this on an early input significantly reduces your overall distance.
Lastly, you'll want to learn your vertical and horizontal jumps. Horizontal jumps are often safer, more lethal, but harder to Goomba stomp your enemies with. I'll play a clip from Jayne explaining the differences, and again, this refers back to the advice on going into custom games to practice the accuracy of your jumps.
So if you want to attack a McCree bot or something, you can jump vertically and then kind of like aim at them. But the other thing is that takes way too long and it makes you more susceptible to damage. Whereas if you just learn your short jumps, so how long you need to actually hold the S button, then that's more effective.
The most basic yet fundamental use of jump is to jump to high grounds. I mentioned this at the beginning, but high ground allows you to stage and set up a dive because you can see what the enemy team are running and where they are coming from. This concept applies to D.Va 2, and Spilo gives a solid example here.
Is there anybody else in the enemy team that's playing more aggressive or might be playing more aggressive soon? Do you see how hard it is for you to tell right now? That's why we go to high ground. Because as a D.Va player, you need to make that assessment accurately and quickly. And you cannot make that assessment with where you're at right now, can you? It's very hard to see. So you go to high ground. Now what do you see? Or what do you not see?
You don't see anyone on flank.
No flank. There's nobody here. There's nobody here. There's nobody here or here. There's nobody here. Okay, at the very least that gives you the information.
Next, let's talk about jump placement. Just by changing where you land by a few meters can be the difference between landing a kill or being the kill. For example, on Oasis City Centre, say you jump the soldier on high ground. If you jump in front of him, it will be very easy for him to just run away to the mega. Not to mention, you slightly boop him away too. However, if you jump behind him, the soldier has to walk through you, meaning you deal more damage. Maybe he even drops heal station too. There's also the jump placement for escape. For example, on Dorado's second point attack, say you want to pressure high ground, as you should. If you jump straight into the middle of the enemy team, you're giving yourself no options to escape, whereas if you landed just by the edge, if there's too much heat, you can quickly fall off high ground and stabilize. There's also jump pathing. If the enemy team are running a Brig or an Ashe and are constantly whipshotting or coach gunning you away from high grounds, stop running it down main. Take an alternate underneath angle and then jump from there. It will be a lot harder for the Brig to predict where and when you're coming in from. Not only will you not get booped, but you also take less damage on entry because your dive isn't as telegraphed and you're being less formulaic. Here's Spilo giving another example of your pathing when it comes to staging and setting up a dive.
How should you be pathing?
You'd be flanking.
What would this provide to you?
There's another angle.
Right. If you jump the Sojourn here, do you see how this catches her by surprise? More likely to get landing damage, more scouting, easier to see, less likely to be punched out or poked out, right? Let's say you're going to go for Ana. You see it?
Yeah.
You're playing a hero that is absolutely atrocious in the tank matchup. Really versus every tank in the game, almost.
The last thing I want to mention is using jump to engage or escape. If you can simply walk up to an enemy, sneak up on them from a flank, or drop from high ground, please do that, instead of wasting your jump on cooldown. This is less so with Overwatch 2 now, but back in Overwatch 1, it was very easy to just burst down a Winston before he gets the jump back again, and even now, you don't want to waste resources if possible. If you're attacking, this tip may not apply as much. Winston's second ability, secretly the best shield in the game, makes Winston project a shield dome with a 5 meter radius, 700 HP, lasting 8 seconds with a 12-second cooldown. Starting with a general rule of thumb, you ideally want to be blocking cooldowns over raw general damage. Winston's bubble is not designed to block large sums of damage, so don't place it on a payload or in a choke. Instead, you ideally want to block cooldowns like sleep, nade, or damage that is directed towards you during your dive. You also want to try and bubble as late as possible against enemies who have their stuns on cooldown or don't have a stun at all. This will allow you to chase further without being punished as harshly. In combination with your jump skip, you can go quite the extra distance. Now onto shield dancing. This is simply weaving on either side or the opposite side that the enemy is on from the edge of your bubble. There's almost no reason to not do this, especially when drop engaging on the backline. In short, your bubble is intrinsically tied to your jump. If you're planning to hard engage or go all the way in, you're likely to use your bubble and shield dance to help you live. Not that complicated. Winston's ultimate, the most sane Overwatch player, makes Winston refresh his health pool to 1000 with a 30% increase in movement speed, dealing out melee attacks that do 40 damage apiece with a 4 meter hitbox with a duration of 10 seconds. The jump back cooldown also goes to 2 seconds. Whilst this isn't a conceptually difficult piece of kit to get your head around, the execution to pull off some of the key combos consistently is not only amazing game design, but one of the highest skill capabilities in the game. Let's start off with the hitbox and interactions. Firstly, your jump cooldown is refreshed at the beginning and end of Primal. This means you can engage and disengage very quickly, so keep that in mind. Secondly, treat your swings like Reinhardt's hammer, in that you should turn your camera in the direction that Winston swings his fists in to extend the size of the hitbox to make it larger than it already is. On console, this can be hard to do whilst landing your jump perfectly, and adding on top of this, you need to time the swings so that you don't boop them away from your landing damage. As a result, I'd increase your sensitivity drastically unless you don't find this a major problem. You can also easily jump over your enemy due to the 30% increased movement speed, so in order to fix this, just simply look downwards when you swing to smack the enemy in front of you. Now onto the primal and triple melee combo. Generally speaking, you should be isolating targets in your primal rather than causing general disruption, so here's KarQ explaining how to do the general primal combo and the triple melee combo.
So, jump onto an enemy and use your Tesla cannon on them as soon as you get in range, and make sure to combo it with a melee when you land. This already does like 50 to 90 damage with the basic attack plus melee plus jump pack landing damage. Then, transform to Primal Rage and use your first smack. You're then going to follow up with a low jump. Now, you use your second smack in mid-air around halfway through your jump. Then you land from the jump pack in front of them. Then use your third smack. 1. Use the first smack, which does 40 damage. 2. Start your second smack first, then use your low jump after, so that it makes contact with the enemy near the end of the animation. This gives you enough time to start the third smack just as you land before they get booped too far from the second smack.
Next, learn how to corner juggle. When focusing down a single target, you'll often want them in a corner as they're easier to hit and focus, as well as you spending less time worried about movements. Here's KarQ yet again, explaining how to do this.
Yakpung suggests to always use your jump pack off cooldown to get the additional landing damage. When controlling them in a corner, he suggests to almost always use the short jump, but the key here is to always take half a step back before using it to ensure you land in front of the enemy. This is the key. If you ever use the wrong jump or land too close into the wall beside your enemy, you risk knocking them out of the corner, as you can see in this clip.
In terms of broader usage, apart from isolating a squishy, other uses are to buy time, split the healers, store points, etc. Also ensure that you bubble before you primal, since you'll get your bubble back after your primal. Now onto Winston's playstyle, positioning and communication. I don't often include communication in the section of these guides, but for Winston, especially in a team environment, it's so important to call out when you're about to engage and when you're actually engaging.
Again, what should you be doing every single time you go for a jump like that on backline? Every single time without exception. What should you be saying?
Let's push in.
Sure. Anything. I'd prefer a single word. Pressuring,
right.
Diving, going, ready, go.
Yeah, jump.
You know, jumping, sure. But your team needs to know, because your team, while you're doing that, your team must at the same time burn their monkey or try and jump backline with you. Like your diva might come with you, you know what I'm saying? But you need to be at the same time. Same time.
I usually call it 3, 2, 1.
I don't even think you can say 3, 2, 1. I think it takes too long. I think you can just say, guys, ready, go. And then just say go whenever you want to go. Because 3, 2, 1, maybe you see an opportunity to go even earlier at like 2. You say, oh, she just used nade. We need to go now, right? I think 3, 2, 1 is a little outdated. Let your team know that you're about to go, and then go.
Regarding your positioning, high ground is a vital starting point, as mentioned earlier, so you can assess whether someone is isolated and or if they're playing aggressively. Here's Spilo giving an example of this on Oasis City Center.
Let's say their Sojourn's just like positioned back here, and there's an Ana available also elsewhere. Would you jump the Sojourn if she was positioned here when there was an Ana that's available like up here?
Depends on how much of a threat she is. Like if I feel like this.
Okay, let's stop right there. Explain. That's a very, very important answer.
I feel like if she's a bigger threat to my team, then I might just at least soft dive her to force her back.
That's a great guideline. Whenever we talk about Winston, it's not just about who you can kill, but like you talk about a good cooldown trade. Well, maybe that is a good cooldown trade if she's ulting, or if she's going aggressively, or if she's in a position to where if you don't jump her, she's going to kill your team.
Now onto Winston's tank matchups. Again, just like with Wrecking Ball and Diva, I'm going to group these up into the Pokeball tanks and the dive tanks. The Pokeball tanks being Sigma, Zarya, Junker Queen, Orisa, Reinhardt, Ramattra, Hog, and the dive tanks being Diva, Ball, and Doomfist. So, with the Pokeball matchup, notice how in each of these situations, barring maybe Sigma, you straight up lose the 1v1. You either have lower damage and or lower sustain, likely both. Just like with Diva, you're often fighting for the space around the tank itself, and more specifically, the squishy heroes who are either isolated and or are playing aggressive. If you end up frontlining against an Orisa, something is going wrong. Now, I do want to clarify, there is a time and a place for this kind of frontlining, and that's mainly to build nano boost. Alternatively, this could be when your team are running poke heavy heroes, or when you're waiting for a good opportunity to dive. Back in my old Winston guide, I called this slow dive, and some of it still partially applies now. Here's Spilo giving 4 general rules of thumb for diving backline in this kind of scenario.
You're saying like, okay, he doesn't ever go deep. Well, if his Sombra was set up and they had a cooldown advantage, they would go in deep, okay? So you really only go in heavy hard in this composition because this is like soft dive, right? Because you've got like a pokey hero, you know, a really, really hard backline to dive, and really only one hero that you can dive with. You don't really go hard backline unless you have one of 3 things, okay? A ultimate. You have a significant cooldown advantage, not just like, oh, they don't have, you know, they're missing an armor pack, or there is significant positional advantage, okay? This is the only thing that you're gonna hard dive off of, all right? Or like a numbers advantage. Like, I guess we could say numbers as well. It's like numbers or down 1 or whatever. If they had nano, Fearless would dive backline. If Ana just chunked her nade, if D.Va just used boosters, and Winston just used bubble, you might see them hard dive backline, right? Because not being able to peel with D.Va, not being able to, their enemy monkey to trade your backline, and not having nade for the enemy Ana to heal herself means that you can actually dive backline and maybe kill them. Positional advantage, let's say the enemy team all rotates underneath and they don't even bother to clear you out up top. Like, let's say that see what these guys are doing? They're fighting Fearless. Why are they fighting Fearless? Because if they don't fight Fearless and they just stay with Badosin, Fearless is going to drop on Badosin and try and kill him along with the rest of his team. So they fight Fearless so that they're not at a positional disadvantage. They fight for this space because if you don't fight for this high ground, Monkey will drop on you. So there's your positional advantage. But they don't give Fearless that positional advantage because they're fighting for the high ground. So if the enemy team is in a really bad spot, you can dive. If they have no cooldowns, you can dive. If you have an ultimate, you can dive. Other than that, you play it patiently until you see an opportunity.
Now, what about other dive tanks like Doomfist, D.Va or Ball? D.Va is actually more like the poke ball tanks just discussed now, since she can peel unlike a Doomfist or Ball. Just avoid frontlining her and target isolated and or aggressive squishies as you normally would. Against Doomfist or Ball, you'll mainly be looking to trade out backlines to not only prevent the enemy tank from getting any healing, but to also create space for your own DPS to pop off. Well, that's the guide. Don't forget to like the video since it actually does help a lot, and if this video helped to raise your IQ, don't forget to share it with your friends to also raise theirs. Until next time.